I keep saying this, I think that Blizzard is focusing way too much on the already existing player base, and we can see that with the latest patches and expansions. It's all about like the existing player base. There isn't much really added that would bring like new players into WoW, right? And if you look at like the advertisements, they're actually so small in comparison to a couple of years ago. So yeah, I don't think WoW is really new player friendly, but we are still getting sometimes new players, and today we're going to have a look at a new players 3-month review on WoW, and let's see how they actually are feeling in the World of Warcraft. Let's see.
3 months ago, I delved into the mystical realm of World of Warcraft, and boy did I forget what the outside world looked like. My character has been through more drama than a reality TV show. It's been a wild ride, and if my real life responsibilities are watching this, please send help and snacks. Introduction is very well designed. Welcome to the MMORPG for not so experienced. No grind, no worries. It's like the game designers said, let's treat all newbies like royalty. First, you're welcome with open arms to the whole zone, not just a measly intro. They practically throw a red carpet at your feet and talk about fancy. Cutscenes and diverse environments are all yours to enjoy.
You know what? I would also recommend this starting intro for new players. Like, the story is already quite confusing if you're a new player, but if you have like the classic experience and you start at your race's base zone and then you get into time walking and stuff, it just gets more confusing. Plus in Exile's Reach they at least explain you how combat works at the beginning, right? Like on the ship and stuff. So I would always pick, if I'm like if I was a new player and I would like try to play now WoW for the first time, and I was talking to a second me, like if I existed twice, I would tell my other me that's like trying this game, hey, you know what? Start with Exile's Reach. Don't do the classic zone because you end up jumping from one zone to another and you have no clue what the heck is happening in WoW. So yeah, he already did something correct. He picked Exile's Reach. Very good.
Carpet at your feet and talk about fancy. Cutscenes and diverse environments are all yours to enjoy, like a roller coaster ride of awesomeness.
But there are not so many cutscenes.
There's more. As you leave the first island, there's a city guide waiting for you, like a helpful GPS for your quest. Who needs a clunky manual when you've got NPCs holding your hand? And the best part? It's all about the story, baby. Say goodbye to grinding and hello to plot twists. You'll meet characters you'll want to be BBFs with, and you won't want to miss a single cutscene. But a tiny hiccup. Turns out the story you like's in between the episode of a soap opera. No backstory, no future spoilers. You're left hanging like a shirt on a clothesline. Now,
that's exactly what I said a couple of weeks ago. So the issue is, if you're a new player, you meet someone like Jaina, for example, and you're like, oh, that's a very cool character. Yo, is she like dyeing her hair or something? Like, why is her hair like yellow and white? And BFA, like, why is she going to Kultiras? Like, what is happening here? Why nobody likes her there? Like, excuse me, like, we're never being actually explained why Jaina is not welcome in Kultiras, for example, right? So you end up doing some time walking campaign, and you're actually in the middle of a plot, but you don't know what happened before, and you get like lost in the story. There's like no red string anymore for you and stuff. This is why I say we need a summarized time walking for new players that actually quickly gets you through all the at least major events that happened, right? Or if they're like important characters, that you at least get a bit of their story throughout the new time walking chapters or something. Like maybe you see a Jaina with still completely blonde hair before actually just with the bombing happened, and yeah, there's some backstory why she has freaking white hair partially. It would be actually nice if we get introduced more into it. Or how did Anduin become the king? Like, what happened to his dad and this and that? Like, if you're a new player, you don't get to hear about all this, and then you hear about it later on in some expansion. Hey, there was something, but you don't know what was there. So I think this is the issue for like new players. If they don't make a World of Warcraft too soon with a completely new plot, so if people want to get into the franchise, they have at least something that's like with less story, right? Then they need to do something about the all story and find a way to summarize it and make people even understand what the heck's going on in World of Warcraft.
Oh, if you're a completionist maniac, go ahead, knock yourself out, finish the story, and take a victory lap. Otherwise, level 60 is calling and a fresh expansion awaits, so why sweat it? Combat is one of the most important factors in the RPG genre.
I think it's actually good.
I was a little bit worried about this one, as WoW is a 20-year-old game, but fortunately I was positively surprised.
I knew it.
Even though the system is quite simple, you just lock yourself on one enemy and click abilities to perform attacks, those skills really feel impactful.
Plus they
and have
updated
some
it over
very
the
nice animations
expansions.
and sounds. I guess that's the reason why they feel so satisfying to press. Oh boy, when I first started clicking those abilities as a paladin, I felt about as spectacular as a squirrel trying to dance ballet. But hey, as I leveled up, I transformed into a flashy force of vengeance, shining brighter than a disco ball at a goblin party. The game also spices up the combat with multi-foe battles and boss mechanics. They kept me on my toes more than trying to dance on hot coals. Sometimes I got so engrossed in those that I was hitting buttons randomly like a maniac, trying to avoid stuff flying straight up into my face. On top of that, with 13 classes and 3 specializations each, you have 39 potential playstyles. It's like being at an all-you-can-eat buffet, but instead of food, you're feasting on different ways to smack monsters in the face.
True. And that's cool because if you're done with like one character, and you want to play some more, right? And you're like, I've played this whole time as a Fury Warrior. What should I do? You either change your spec to Arms Warrior, or you try tanking, or you make like a new character. Maybe you level up, for example, Elemental Shaman now. And with the Elemental Shaman, you get a completely different experience than with a Fury Warrior, for example, right? Or you want to be a healer, then you try a Holy Priest or something. Like, that's the cool thing about like WoW and having like so many different races and classes, that if you ever finish the game and you want to play again, you just make an alt, like a new character. And they made it easier also to catch up with gear and stuff, right? Like the last patches, I feel like if you look at like the latest patches, they were really about like catch-ups and stuff, right? About like gearing and things. Like in Shadowlands, it was way harder to grind up alts than it is in Dragonflight. Like I think like all can agree with me on that, right? So yeah, I think it's good if you have like multiple characters you level up, and you see like the different sides of the game from also each role, if you're brave enough to try healer and tank.
The very moment we log into the game, we're greeted by the unmistakable charm of a world that has been around for ages. You won't feel those 20 years unless you dig deep into some older zones. But behold, the newest expansion, Dragonflight, is a pure feast for the eyes.
Yeah,
the graphics
pretty.
may not be realistic, but they're more like fable-like something out of a crazy bedtime story that had a collision with a kaleidoscope.
It looks cartoonish,
it's not
kind
Unreal
of,
Engine
right?
5 material, but who needs that when we have our unique funky charm? You won't find graphics like this in any other game, and that's the good thing. Embrace the abstract beauty. Now, get ready to explore this massive world, and boy, it's huge. You can walk, fly, or even take a plunge underwater, like a brave salmon in search of glory. Watch out for rare, powerful monsters that make your heart race faster than a caffeinated squirrel on a mission. And oh, the treasures. You'll never know what you might stumble upon.
Yeah,
hidden
some nice
treasure chests, long forgotten artifacts, and items with a reward that'll make you grin like a Cheshire cat in a cheese shop. For all your lore hunters out there, there's plenty to satisfy your curiosity. Uncover hidden stories in dusty old books or ancient relics. It's like a historical detective work, only with more dragons and fewer tweed hats. When it comes down to your most fabulous armor and weapons, fashionistas rejoice. You can strut your stuff in dungeons and raids from bygone era, looking so fabulous that even the most...
You know, the sad part is about this though with the looks. I think the looks and the transmogs are the only reason these days why players even bother with like older raids and dungeons. Like, what disappoints me a lot in WoW, and that's something I don't get what stops them from doing it. Maybe they're panicking at Blizzard that people will not buy the latest expansion. But why don't they make everything in every single dungeon scale with your level? So let's say you are max level, you are like level 70, right? Why don't they make like the TBC dungeons and raids, for example, also like have the mobs be on the latest level or something, right? Like, I don't get this. Why am I not encountering level 70 elites in dungeons where I go to like older zones and I can only do like the really hard content doing unique time walking dungeons that are constantly rotating around, and it's not all of them. It's just like sometimes it's this one, sometimes that one, right? I think this is stupid. They should make like this kind of time walking dungeons like be every single dungeon and raid in the game, even from TBC Wrath of the Lich King, and the drop should just be the highest item level possible or something, right? Or at least second highest. Like, if they really care so much about like the latest expansion being like completely end game, they at least give us some gear from like older dungeons that's close to max item level of gear that can drop. Like maybe just 10 or 20 levels behind. And if you really want the top gear, you have to go to the latest expansion. Okay, I think everyone can live with that, but at least add some challenge or some cool other rewards to like the old content, right? Maybe like new mounts or something, but you can only get them if you do like the max level version of it. Like, there are ways to make old content still viable, I believe. Like, look at other games that do that. Now, Lord of the Rings Online does this. Like, they are offering for like veteran players a chance to go to the starting zones and talk to an NPC, so everything gets very difficult according to your current level, right? In Elder Scrolls Online, all the zones scale with your level. That means if you're gear farming, and there are like several sets that drop in certain zones in ESO, you can go to any freaking zone and you have the same sort of difficulty because every mob will be the same level as you. And you can still get viable gear from like starting zones and stuff that you can use for endgame. Sometimes it's actually funny in ESO because there's sometimes like overworld sets from like the second or third zone you visit when you are questing through the storyline. That is actually like meta or almost meta, and even better than the gear you can get from the latest expansion. But people are still doing the latest expansion for the good story in the environment. So I think Blizzard needs to focus more on telling a good story, offering cool environment and extra content with the latest expansion, than pushing and forcing players to do that so they can min-max. I think it's stupid. I don't think our latest expansion should be used to min-max. I think the whole World of Warcraft should be viable and scaled up with your level. That's my opinion. Let me know in the comment section what you're thinking and how you feel about this.
You can strut your stuff
make
in
all zones
dungeons
feel
and
more
raids
alive.
from bygone era, looking so fabulous that even the most fearsome of bosses will be distracted by your impeccable style.
Oh yeah.
The newest expansion feels pretty exciting. We finally get to meet the majestic dragons and visit their awesome homeland, where we get to ride them like crazy. Forget about those old slow flying mounts in WoW. Now we're zooming around like dragons on steroids. Blizzard did a fantastic job with the dragon riding. It's like
fun,
they hired
yeah.
real dragons to teach them how to make it so damn cool.
And finally flying is fast.
These dragons can pull off maneuvers that will make a jet fighter blush, and boy, they're fast. Unlocking all the perks for your Drake is like reaching the ultimate cheat code for flight. You're soaring through skies, feeling like a flying superhero. You can fly so high that birds look up to you with envy, and you can fly so long that you can start contemplating if you should join the birds and migrate south for the winter.
What's interesting about dragon flying and dragonfly is that's actually how flying should have been from the start in WoW. Now, if you're using a flying mount and let's say you hit level 40, and with level 40 you unlock the maximum flying speed, I don't feel like flying in like other zones like Kalimdor somewhere. Okay, now we have like dragon flying there. It's like some courses, right? But I always felt like flying was quite slow, in my opinion. Like, why can't we fly faster? And now we can actually speed up like crazy in like the Dragon Isles with our dragon and get from A to B in like a matter of seconds. If you do this in like other zones, let's say you go to Tirisfal or somewhere and you're just using a regular flying mount and you just want to go from Defner to the Undercity, you take as long as going through 2 zones with your dragon in the Dragon Isles. Like, you go from like one place to the other in one zone as slow. I mean, as fast, as 2 or 3 zones with a dragon flying in the Dragon Isles. It's crazy. I think we need to be able to fly faster everywhere in WoW.
So long that you can start contemplating if you should join the birds and migrate south for the winter. The story is quite dragtastic too. You get to learn about each dragonflight per zone, and it's like uncovering an ancient secrets of the dragon world. Sure, you might miss some things from previous stories, but hey, those dragon islands were locked away for so long, they were probably on vacation sipping pina coladas. But before I knew it, I was level 70, and I'm pretty sure my neighbors heard me scream in excitement
Really?
from 3 blocks away. People say the
For me
real
it was
fun starts
nothing.
as level 70, and I'm like, bring it on, I'm ready to take on anything, dragons, demons, angry squirrels, you name it. At max level, you're still not fully geared up for the epic group content, but fear not.
Yeah, you need
There's
to
a ton of fun
spam
stuff to do
mythic
to prepare
pluses.
and snag some epic loot. Dynamic quests, world bosses, campaigns to conquer, and professions to master. All of these activities can shower you with gear you need to take on WoW's most challenging and enjoyable experiences, mythic dungeons and raids. With different difficulty modes to choose from, some folks might say that starting at the lowest level is just a cakewalk for folks who've got their heads stuck in a Murloc's pond. But you know what? I jumped into the fray anyway and had a blast, especially in those epic raids where we faced bosses who could warp reality and throw punches like a drunken ogre. It was chaos, but it sure was fun. I mean, who doesn't love dodging giant fireballs while praying their internet connection doesn't drop?
Oh yeah.
As for Mythic Plus, well, let's just say I had a little help from my channel viewers. They practically carried me like a treasure-laden donkey. I was like the fifth wheel in the party, but hey, the rewards were out of this Azeroth. Gear upgrades poured down like manna from the heavens. Next time, I might be a tad more skilled thanks to you awesome folks. You all deserve a round of applause and maybe a statue installment for being the real MVPs. Endgame dungeons and raids are awesome, but I long for some exploring and leveling, so the burning question is, should I try WoW Classic? Cheers, and may your
I think
crits
you
forever
should.
be epic.
I think you should try a WoW Classic, because if you're really about just exploring, doing quests, and you want a challenge to the quests and stuff, like freaking play WoW Classic. Like if you do this, like be careful. If you pull sometimes in early game 3 mobs, you end up dying. In retail you could put 5 mobs and you don't even drop to half your health down. Like, it is just, everything is super easy on retail, but in classic you have some challenge. Like, you have to kill mobs one by one, or at least like maximum of 2 that you pull at a time, right? And there's sometimes quests where you have to kill some sort of elite or rares, right? And you need like another player to do that, because you can solo it. Like, I have quite often found quests in WoW Classic where I had to ask 1 or 2 people to join me in order to complete those quests, because I couldn't solo them, and they had the same issue. Like, I remember like walking into like some quest where I have to kill some elite, and there was another player that kept dying, and he asked me, hey, you want to group up? And then another person came. It was suddenly 3 of us, and we killed this one. But yeah, that's the cool thing about like classic WoW, because there's some challenge when you're questing, and every level you gain feels like a reward. In retail you just rush through. Like, if I spam dungeons in WoW and I have like a super long day, I could like max a character in just a day technically. But usually I do it in 2-3 days, because I would just play a couple of hours on that character, not all day. But it's just too fast the way you level, and like dungeons give so much XP. It's crazy in retail WoW. So yeah, if you're looking for just questing, exploring, go for classic WoW. You're not gonna regret it, and you're gonna have some challenge. But yeah, guys, I'm not sure what they can do. I think they need to summarize a freaking time walking campaign. Like, maybe they do like Exiles Reach, like new players, like it's recommended they do some sort of Exiles Reach, but then it leads to some unique time walking campaign for just new players. So they get to explore the whole story and not like have those kind of puzzles that they have to pick up from Chromie. And if you for example pick Warlords of Draenor, you're suddenly in a plot where you have no clue what the heck is going on. Who the heck is Garrosh? Like, in order to start understanding Garrosh and stuff, like, you need to first know about TBC and Wrath of the Lich King. If you start with Draenor, you just get lost in the story. Like, who the heck is Garrosh? Like, why is he the bad guy? Why are we on an alternate timeline? Like, how did we get there? Like, everything's so confusing, guys, if you do the time walking with Chromie. Like, you need to have some explanation done before the events. And I think the only way to do this is to add a unique time walking campaign for new players. Do maybe some overhaul as well of like the classic starting zone. So if I pick the Elwyn Forest on, let's say, a human priest or something, I don't get like the classic kind of atmosphere, but like a more modern one, then it's like up to the events with also better textures and stuff. But yeah, it's up for Blizzard to decide. I would definitely give it an overhaul if I was the lead dev or something, right? But yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time.